and welcome to the Incomplete Guide to Film podcast, where we're learning filmmaking together. I'm your host, Alex Pinnell, and today we're talking about perfectionism and what to do when you get discouraged. Films are never finished, they're just released, is a common adage in the film community. This mostly has to do with the studio projects because they have solid deadlines. Coming May 4th, it has to release on May 4th. May 4th, they're done. And even if they've had major rewrites and major reshoots on May 3rd, May 4th, they're putting a finished product out there. You never really finish. And I think that studio directors, filmmakers would rather have some more time to perfect their film. For us independents, it's a little different. For us, there's a more lenient deadline period because a lot of us don't have solid deadlines, don't have solid release dates because we're just releasing it on YouTube or we're putting it, we're submitting it to Sundance, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this year. It could be next year. It could be, so there's more time for not only procrastination, but also reworking and reshooting and overthinking. Yes, after a long editing process, things can come out better than they were before. Re-editing a film can work in its favor, but it can also work to its harm. After a while, you're not doing any good for it. And you're actually taking some moments out that were really great but seem old to you now. Because you probably wrote the script, you shot the film, you edited the film probably, or someone close to you did, and you were part of that process. So you've heard this over and over and over again, but for your audience, it would be new. But it feels old to you because you've been hearing about this for years, probably. So you throw out these things that would have been wonderful, and without it, makes your film fall a little flat, maybe. With filmmaking and entrepreneurship, you have to be a self-motivator. You can't sit on your butt. A lot of people think that, if I'm my own boss, I can do whatever I want. No. You don't have a boss now making you do your work. You have to do your work. Even if you're sick, even if you're sick of work, even if you're not inspired, you have to get that stuff done. Stuff still has to happen because that's how you get money. And money is how you live. Money is how you make another film. Money is how you eat and sleep and have electricity. It's an essential cog in the machine that is your small business. So how do you keep from being discouraged, or how do you work through it? Well, it's simply that. It's working through it. For me, I'm a self-starter. I was homeschooled through fourth grade to graduation from high school. So I have learned how to keep myself going even if I really don't want to. There were a lot of classes that I didn't finish because I didn't want to, but I had to, end up going back and learning those things before I graduated and everything else because it was essential stuff, And, through all of that, I learned how to start myself, how to keep myself engaged even if I don't care about what's going on. And sometimes there's going to be a slog. It's not always, you're making your passion project. Sometimes you're working for a paycheck. You're doing this thing that you're hoping will give you a paycheck, but it hasn't in the past. But you continue doing it because all it is volume. If you have enough stuff out there, someone will finally buy it. You know, and for me, this podcast has kind of gotten like that. I care about it. I definitely do, and I really want this to be quality content. But I feel dwarfed by the people that are following me on Twitter. I mean, have you looked at a lot of these guys? They have completed films under their belt, and they make a living at this, and they run independent studios, and it's all really great work that they're doing. And I haven't made a short film that I've actually released to the public. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of stories in my head, but I haven't put any of them. Some of them I haven't even put to paper yet, and I still haven't completed a script. I'm still learning screenwriting. I'm still learning how to write a script, how to write a story well in a script form. So for me, it's been difficult to stay motivated for this podcast because not only am I not getting many views, though I do have a couple friends who are listening. So I want to say thank you for listening. And I really value that you take time out of your day, especially those of you who now have children, congratulations. And that you take time out of your day to listen to me is wonderful, is great. But I kind of feel like, I'm not doing very well with this. It's not going as fast as I would like, I guess. And I feel like I'm running out of things to say. So I'm getting a little bit discouraged about this. So how do you deal with it? Well, you work through it. You put out what best you can. You don't try to be a perfectionist. You can't a perfectionist. You can't put out the best content in the world every day. It's just not possible. Sometimes you're going to have an episode that isn't going to be great. You shut off the recorder and you go, well, that's not as great as I would have liked, but it's going out. So, it's really just doing it. Me, I didn't put a podcast episode out Wednesday, and I didn't put a blog post up Friday because I was feeling discouraged, because I was feeling like I didn't have anything to say, because I looked at the people that were following me, and I looked at a lot of other people that I'm watching, and I'm nowhere near that. I can barely scrape together money. I'm living in my parents' house right now because I can't scrape together enough money to live on my own, because I'm trying to make it as an entrepreneur, and it's disheartening sometimes. It's difficult sometimes. So really, the only advice that I can give you from the inside of this, and from multiple times that I've felt like this and then worked through it and been really inspired, and then it's feast and famine sometimes. Sometimes you're really inspired and you're working all the time and you've got all these ideas and you're doing all these things, and sometimes you've got a lot of deadlines that are coming up because some of those things actually finally meant something, and you don't feel very inspired at all. Sometimes you're doing some bitler work like I am right now. I'm designing some graphics for a friend because they have a business they want to rebrand. So I'm designing some logo elements and stuff because I have a bit of a graphic design background and I know a bit of what I'm doing. So they were looking for someone to do it who honestly wouldn't charge them as much as a professional company to do it, because that can get really expensive really quickly. And I'm not feeling too inspired this week, and I had to do Friday, and that's a deadline that I set for myself. So, you know, I can't really say, well, that deadline was because I said it, that means that I'm the idiot. So, the only advice that I can give is to work through it. Just grit your teeth and do it. Because you know what? Entrepreneurship, for the faint of heart, it is not. It's rough. It's hard work sometimes to bring yourself to do something that you don't really want to do. At work, you can always blame your boss. You can always go, well, he sucks and I don't really want to do the work, but I gotta get a paycheck, so I'm gonna do this dumb stuff. You are the one telling me to do the dumb stuff this time. The stuff that you don't want to do, you have to tell yourself to do that. And you have to make yourself do it. So, when you're discouraged, work through it, because it's a moment. It's a feeling, not truth. The difference between truth and a feeling is a feeling goes away. But truth remains. Do I want to be a filmmaker? Yes. Do I feel inspired right now? No. Filmmaker, that's the truth. I want to be a filmmaker. I am a filmmaker. Feeling, not really inspired. Would much rather be doing stuff that is relaxing. So, for me, I have to grit my teeth and do this stuff and, get this done because it needs to be done. And sometimes, getting back to perfectionism, we need to just grit our teeth and go, it's good. It's good enough. It's never going to be absolutely perfect. I think that Jeremy from CinemaSins said it best when he said, no movie is without sin. No movie is without sin. There's always something that doesn't really make sense, or you look back on and go, wow, that was bad. Well, it's going to be that way. You can't foresee everything. You can't correct everything. Sometimes your best take is going to be slightly out of focus. Sometimes you're going to have difficulty with stuff. Sometimes some of your plot points don't exactly make sense. And, as long as it's a cohesive story, that's okay. If the motivation behind it is a little sketchy, sometimes that's okay. Because sometimes, when you're in the story, you don't think about it. And then afterwards, you may think about it and go, oh, well, that wasn't great. Well, it's a part of it. It's a part of storytelling. It's a part of... It's a part of your journey as a filmmaker to learn and grow. And if you never make a mistake, where would you learn and grow? You can't learn from mistakes that you don't make. So, eventually you have to put something out that isn't going to be perfect. Because you can't be perfect. And if you never put out anything that isn't absolutely perfect, then you'll never put anything out. So, it's the same thing that I've been talking about. If you don't quit, you win. If you just do it, then you'll succeed. Good day and good filmmaking.